All right, next we're going to talk about body holding devices. So a body holding device is a piece of equipment that's worn by a worker, serves as a point of attachment for connecting devices. So this is going to be worn by the individual person, either in a full body harness or a belt. As I talked about here right away about the belts, we don't use them here on our site, so we probably won't get too depth into them. There are many different types of body holding devices that can be used in a variety of attachments and applications. It's important to understand the specific purposes of what your body holding device has been designed for. So different brands, different types, where the different anchor points are or tie-off points are. We're going to get into all that. So as I was saying, there's two different types. There's the belt and the full body harness. And as I'll get more into the harness itself, but the belt itself is not really used in a fall arrest situation. So for our site, we decided that we're going to get rid of the belt itself because it's only used in restraint, and we're going to use just the harness itself in both the restraint and arrest situation. There's a lot of reasons why we don't want to go to the belt because it can be dangerous, it can add an extra, if you do fall in it, it can be very, bad for your body. Your direct point of contact or direct point of pressure if you do fall is just on the one spot. So we just take it out of circulation. We don't even worry about, getting too much into that. So we don't have to worry about those kind of injuries. So we'll move on to the full body harness. Excuse me. So the full body harness is a body holding device that includes your chest, your shoulders, and your chest, and your legs with some straps. So there's the design characteristics for that as a full body harness are distinct from chest or seat harnesses in that they enclose the shoulders, the chest, and the legs to disperse arrest forces throughout the whole body if you do fall. A full body harness is the only appropriate and recommended body holding device for personal fall arrest systems and have several advantages over body belts, including, because we're not going to talk about it in body belts, we'll just talk about the bonuses of being in a full body harness. So properly adjusted and worn properly and adjusted properly prevents the workers from slipping free from the body harness. So if your legs are in properly, your chest strap's undone, and your shoulders are tight enough, you definitely won't fall out of it because it's built in a way that you can't. Better distribution and dispersal of fall arrests. So if you do find yourself in a situation where you do fall, it's going to disperse the pressures or the arrest forces throughout the whole body and not just in specific areas like a belt would just your waist. It's going to spread it across the whole body. So upright suspension for worker comfort and health. So while being in the harness itself, it's a little bit more comfortable than just wearing a body. It's, the weight of it is dispersed throughout your shoulders and your waist. If you do fall, like I said before, it's gonna, you're gonna be able to sit up nice right. It's gonna feel a little bit more comfortable. It's gonna disperse the pressures throughout the whole body. Longer span of time worker can stay suspended before medical complications arise. So, you're gonna be able to, sit up a little bit more properly. If it's worn properly, you're gonna be more up and down, straight up and down. When we get to the point where we can hang you from our tripod, you'll feel, the difference of if it's loose, how much further forward you're going to hang, and the more tighter it is, how much upright you're going to be. A little bit easier to move your legs and keep some blood flow going through your body. And at that, we also attach our suspension trauma straps to our harnesses here on our site, and then it'll give you the ability to use those and keep your blood flowing through your body. Although full body harnesses appear simple in design and it's intuitive to fit, they are often misused as workers frequently don them without reading the manufacturer's instructions or receiving proper training. In the preceding pages, you will cover the different certifications of harnesses and some of the basic construction elements and general instructions to fitting. So we'll get into that as we go through. So inspector requirements, so read the manufacturer label, read your MOM, make sure that you're in the appropriate harness for the work you're going to be doing. So some electricians need different types of harnesses. Some welders will use different type of harnesses, different materials made from them, which we'll get into here right away. Make sure that what's the right size for you, meets your weight requirement. Mine, I definitely need a little bit heavier set, or I'm a heavier set man, so I'm going to be looking for, a bigger style harness and the connecting components that are going to, be good for my weight. We want to make sure before we use a harness at all, we're always checking the harness before every use. So pull it out of our locker, wherever we're keeping it, bring it to our job site in a safe, orderly fashion, and we're going to go over it nice and quickly. We're going to check to make sure that the webbing, that there's no cuts in the webbing, no burns in the webbing, no chemical burns. We're just going to go over that. We're going to go over the hardware itself, making sure there's no pitting or cracking or breaks on it. This way it's going to, if it does fall, if you do experience a fall in it, that we know that all the hardware components, all the webbing components, and all the stitching as well are going to hold, and it's a safe unit to be wearing. So we're going to go over that on how to check that a little later on. So hazards and limitations. So selecting the harness for proper size. If you're in an improper harness, definitely can cause a lot more. So if you're a smaller person, you're in too big of a harness, you may not be able to get it fit properly. You could slide out of it if you do fall. Those kind of things are going to be limited to that, because I'm going to help you guys get into your harness the very first time here on site. We're going to fit them together, make sure it all fits right, and that you're in the proper harness. So failure to properly adjust your harness each time it is donned as a result of serious injury. We minimize that here on our site by trying to give each individual person who's going to be in a harness consistently their own harness. So so that way you can fit it once it's fitted on you properly. Maybe we have to look at it every couple of years in case something changes, weight, size, anything like that. We'll look at it every couple of years when we renew the year course, and we'll make sure it's still fitting you properly. Of course, making sure every time you wear it that, it does fit you properly. If it starts to feel loose or starts to feel tight, adjust it as needed. But if you have any questions, please come to me and we can work together on that. So attaching a connector to an incorrect point on the harness can result in arrest forces not being evenly distributed or improper body positioning after a fall. So we're going to look at the different types of harnesses that are available out there, making sure that we're using them in the right fashion. On our site currently, we only have mainly one type, the main style of harness, which is the A class or Class A harness, which is just going to have your dorsal D-ring on the back. We do have a few out there that have the shoulder dorsals for top entry into confined space. Those are going to be, specially handed out for certain jobs. So most people aren't going to see them, but if you do come across being part of that job, we'll go over those harnesses and how to wear them properly and the connecting points and stuff like that. So like I said, we're going to talk about the different types of harnesses. So we call them classifications. So CSA uses letter classifications for system design between the different D-ring locations. Like I said, we use Class A fall arrest. So this one here is our standard Class A, and it's got the dorsal ring on the back. This is what you're probably going to be wearing. So this is just an extension. So this here, so it's going to fit on your back, the center between your shoulder blades, and that's where that's going to sit. If you look at the slide next, you've got another one is a Class D, so that's descent control. So it's more in the center of your chest. This is going to be more used in rescue style harnesses, places where you're going to need to descend. You're going to be using that as an anchor point to descend. Very close to that one is going to be the Class L, and this is a ladder climbing one, so it's also on the chest. The difference being, of course, your descent is probably a little bit lower on, so if you're descending in a harness, it's going to be more suited to sit in that harness, where a ladder is going to be a little bit higher up, so it's kind of out of your way when you're working up and down the ladder, and if you do fall, it's going to hold you up higher because you're facing a ladder. You want to be right tight against it. So that's that style. The difference being, of course, just the height. So a little bit different there. Class E, so the confined space entry retrieval. Like I said, we have a few of these on site, and they're going to have your D-rings on your shoulders. This way that if we have to, pull you up through the top, we can connect over your shoulders and pull you straight up, nice and nice and sturdy, nice and using that whole harness so you're not flopped and sitting on the side. It's the nicest, easiest way to go in. Plus, if we're having to, to send you down or something like that, we can do it in a nice, easy fashion. And then there's the worker positioning harness, the class P is considered, and these are going to be more on your waist. So these are, you're going to have telephone pole climbers, tree cutters. They're going to use this because they're going to be using it around with a rope to climb up poles, trees, and such. This, gives you that safety there. But of course, we're not going to use those here on our site. We don't really do any of those jobs, so not going to worry about that. Next, we're going to talk about harness construction. So there's different type of materials we use in harnesses. We have our standard material, which is just the standard materials such as nylon, polyester, and armeds. I can't ever say that word. So that's what this one is here. Looks like it's going to be made from those kind of materials. Just a standard harness, nice and secure. It's got a little bit of stretch in it when enough force, but strong material to hold you up if you do fall. Then we also do carry on our site more of a Kevlar style. So we've got this black style. We also have these red ones here for welders. Our black ones here, our electricians wear them because they're an arc flash rated, and then our welders use these because they're a little bit better for heat for when they're arcing and welding. So they stand up a little bit better. So these are a couple different styles you might see on our site, but for the most part, your standard jobs are just going to be these yellow ones here. As I said, there's different types of material. The different types of materials are used for different jobs. So your standard harness that we're going to be giving you is just general use. You're in baskets, working, cleaning, however you're going to be using on top of the rail cars when loading and stuff. But then you're also going to have your electricians. They're doing some work on certain things. They're going to be wearing this arc flash, so it's going to help protect against that. And so these are issued to electricians, and then sorry, I'm just repeating myself. And then you're going to have your hot work area with the red one with the Kevlar, Nomex or Techoral, more synthetic fibers, better suited for certain jobs. Most of them are fire retardant, so they're going to protect you if you're if they're not going to burn off you. But we also want to, let me just catch up. Our harness is used for welding, so we talked about our arc flash ones are more for, and our Kevlar ones for welding, so they're going to be more resistant to flames. Different jobs, different styles of harnesses. We'll make sure that your job, you're going to get a specific harness to what you need. With that, different harnesses come with different buckles and connecting systems. So here we have our standard pass-through buckle. So it just basically passes through. So your buckle just is going to pass through the hole. And it's going to fit nice and tight and make sure it's in there nice and secure. Pretty standard. That's what we have for all of our chest straps. Our harnesses now have all the legs have these tongue and buckle system. So all of our leg straps are using this system. So this can make sure that we can make a nice tight quick fit with our harness. It doesn't take a long time. Sometimes the pass-through system to get them nice and tight and fitting properly can be time-consuming, so we go with the tongue and buckle. So it's it's an easier one. Difference being between the two of them is that your tongue and buckle, you have specific spots that you can connect into, as you can see in the holes. Where the pass-through system, you can make it exactly what you need to fit properly and comfortably. This one you may have to make a little bit of adjustment or accept that it's not going to fit exactly the way you want it to, just because the holes are only in certain spots. So it might be a little tighter or a little looser than you'd like, but that's something we have to, you have to go with when you go with that system. And finally, we have the Quick Connect buckles. We do have a few harnesses on site that do use these Quick Connect buckles. Nobody's gonna, they're more on these self-rescue harnesses. The reason why we don't go with these, because they have the best of both, where you can get everything to fit just perfect. And they're quick to put on, but the problem being is that they're made with galvanized, and in our environment, galvanized does not last very long. Potash will eat right through it, and the springs and connectors inside could fail. So we don't recommend these used for everyday use. We do have them for the occasional harness. Like I said, on these self-rescuers in certain jobs, if you need them, they'll be available. But not something that we're going to see around site very often. When we're going through our harnesses, we want to make sure we're sizing harnesses properly. So the DBI Salas that we use here on our site come in a small, medium, large, and extra large. So of course your body size is going to determine what you need to wear. They all are rated for the same weight, according to the manufacturer's the operating manual. They are all rated to that 320 pounds. And plus, we've had to do some research here on our site that we give these the ability to go to 400. We have the paperwork to cover that. But generally, in the manufacturer operating procedure, it's going to tell you about that 320 pound. So you want to make sure you're wearing the right size harness for yourself. So of course, looking at your height, your weight, such as that. We're going to try on a few different sizes. You're going to try on your smalls, your mediums, depending on your body size. Some other brands use Universal. Universal used to be thought of as could weight for everybody, which I guess technically it is. For a long time people thought smalls were meant for light people, and mediums and Universal was kind of for everybody, and large was for heavier set people. But according to the manufacturers now, they're all weight-wise, they're all the same. It's just how they fit your body differently. So we want to make sure you're in the right size harness. The next thing about a harness is that they all have some sort of fall indicator on them, whether they be right here on the dorsal ring, which this one doesn't have. I don't think we have too many of them on our site anymore that the dorsal ring is the indicator, where it show a little red on the dorsal ring if it had fallen. But most of them now have this folded over stitched area with a quick release here. So if you were to fall on this would pull out right away. If you were to go to do a job and grab your harness, take a look. When you're doing your daily inspection, it's oh, this is pulled out. Well, this isn't a usable harness anymore because it's gone through a fall or it's gone through some sort of impact. So we're not going to use it anymore. Bring it to myself. We'll get you into a new one or what you need. So that's one of the things you're definitely going to be checking for when you're going through your check before you start the work in your harness. All right, so next we're going to work on making sure your harness fits properly and how we like that to look. So let me just quickly grab a harness here that I can put on. So as we're going to go through all together, you're going to be putting one on these, making sure that we're fitting everybody properly. I'm just going to throw this on quickly here, get a little bit of time, just to show you how they should be fitting. And then we can all take a look from there. Sorry, this was worn by somebody else here recently, so it looks like it's fit a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so I always start here at my chest, making sure that that's on properly. I want to make sure that it's tight enough that the shoulder straps can't come off, where this is right now. And once I get my leg straps, I can maybe make the adjustment to make sure that it's not sliding on my shoulders and it's staying where it is. So next I'm going to go through, grab my leg strap and put it on. the other leg strap, making sure that there's nothing in your pockets when you're wearing it. Tucking away any extra. Yeah. So, nice and tight. Now it feels like it's not sliding off my shoulders. I got a nice tight touch to my on top, so I feel like here there's pretty much a little bit of a gap. So I'm just gonna tighten that up a little bit here using these quick tighteners. All right, there we go. Then of course, like I said before, we want the dorsal ring right between your shoulder blades, and right there. And then of course we have our suspension trauma straps here on the side. So if properly worn, they're going to be just above your hip, so you can use those. And for your legs, we're going to do a quick check using our right hand going across, sliding it through. If you can make a fist and can't pull it through, you're nice and tight. So using, like I said before, using these buckles, you know, here's a situation where I got to go here, which is too tight, or this one, buckle here, which, you know, a little bit looser, still in a good load. But if that was too tight, I'd go one less, and now it's super, like, not super loose, but quite a bit looser, where, you know, past here you might be able to get that exactly where it's nice and comfortable for you. But a lot of people are asking for these ones because they're a lot quicker to adjust, put on, take off. So they do like this brand, so that's what we hand out. All right, so we'll go through that a little bit later on. You guys are all going to try on your harnesses. We're going to make sure that they fit you properly. We're going to make the adjustments we need. So the key to properly donning a full body harness is to follow the manufacturer instructions. So I'll take you through how to go through that as it said in the manufacturer instructions. But it is a good idea that you take a look at that. We're going to give an operating procedure to you, so you can look at that if you need to. So it's the end user responsibility to ensure they are familiar with these instructions, which will be unique to each harness based upon its design. In addition to fitting instructions, the operator manual may contain equally critical information about storage, maintaining, and product limitations. Often these limitations will be included in the restrictions on the maximum user weight to which the harness may be subjected. So things that you need to go through when you're going through. All right, so that's the section on full body harnesses. We'll move on to the next one next.